trying to stick to the freedom of the press and information, and as a consequence, in some cases, indirectly helping extremists, or on the other hand, are we going to limit the extent of the information provided in order to, so to say, watch over democracy in our societies? Where is the dividing line between stating the facts, informing about all important events or statements, views, ideas, and unintentionally helping to promote radical, populist, or extremist politics and politicians?
Most of the journalists here at the International Press Institute's World Congress have the sense that, yes, you can either ignore the extremists or you can engage them. And this would depend on a case-by-case basis, but really, when you're dealing with long-term parties that are targeting gays and lesbians, targeting racial minorities, people like the Roma, or are really looking at a class of people that can't defend themselves and scapegoating them, you have to engage. You have to talk with the people, you have to find their background, you have to reveal their real motives. And in most cases, scapegoating is the word. Trying to use someone else to say, your problems in your country are really caused by someone else. It's not your fault that things haven't gone right. And this is a message that has, in tough economic times, gained a lot of traction. Because of that, the journalist's responsibility, engage them, find out about them, reveal what their strategy is, what they're doing, and why they're doing it. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. It doesn't matter if you're in Hungary and you're looking at young people that have become extremists and are using the media to promote their cause, or whether you have long-time far-right conservative parties in power, a significant share of power in other European countries like Austria or in the United States, where you have a Tea Party movement, a very right-wing fringe of the conservatives that are counted in North America. What you really have are groups of people that are seeking in one way or another to say that it's somebody else's fault. It's not our responsibility for what has happened with the economy. It's their fault. In the United States, it's the Latin American immigrants, specifically the Mexican immigrants that are flooding into the United States. Yes, supporting a law, supporting immigration reforms, very important, but the legal way, not by pulling people off the streets. You have movements here in Europe that are equally worrying because Roma are being targeted. And some would suggest that perhaps the government of President Sarkozy has gone too far in removing Roma from France and sending them home to Romania. It's an issue that's being taken up right now by the European Human Rights Commission, and they're looking very hard at this issue.
I to avoid reporting Terry Jones' story, but it became too big to be ignored. But I was responsible for the editorial policy of Al Jazeera English channel at the time when a British teacher was arrested in Sudan, accused of calling her a teddy bear in her school class Muhammad. So the story, from my point of view, is a very funny story. It is not anything to do with against Islam or against Muhammad, but the Sudanese people didn't like the idea. She thought of calling the teddy bear Muhammad out of innocent. She was innocent. She's not hating Islam. So I ordered my teams in the newsroom not to report the story at all, because it's not a newsworthy story. Had we reported it at that time, we would have inflamed some hatred against British people all over the Muslim world. So until the court in Sudan freed the lady was sent free, the lady was sent back to Britain safely, there was no case in Sudan. Then we reported the case that a British teacher was arrested for this accusation, but the court in Sudan freed her. So reporting the story after freeing her was much safer for the thousands of British or millions of British citizens living peacefully in Muslim world. Otherwise, Muslims in these countries would have understood the British teacher decision as something against Muslims. So it's just one example of responsibility on Al Jazeera side we took. Another example, when the BBC correspondent was hijacked in Gaza. He was kidnapped in Gaza City, Alan Johnston, and he was enforced to wear explosive vest and talk to camera, asking everybody to free Palestinians, otherwise they will blow him. I believe that showing him with this vest would achieve the terrorists who kidnapped him, would achieve their aim. by showing him humiliated, by showing him terrified. That would terrify all journalists in Gaza, that would terrify all Western people living in Palestine or around Palestinian territories. So I stopped showing this picture. We reported the story that Alan Johnston appeared on screen pleading for that and that and that. We had to report the story, but without showing him humiliated wearing the explosive vest. Otherwise, that would have achieved the objectives of those who hijacked him.